She's a toasty one today. Crops are coming in. You can see it's starting to change color. And we're starting our harvest prep. Bins are done. We just need to get the final check off so that they can run power to them. Or we have power run just so that they put the meter on. And the first thing we did this morning is we checked that the auger would reach. It's a 1385. It'll reach just fine, which is great that we don't have to get a new auger. So one of the key things we were checking was if we went all the way up, that we didn't want the PTO to dead end. And it didn't, so we're good there. But we did find that when this is way up in the air, all the hydraulic hoses were kind of drooped over here and they were catching and getting pinched. So we're kind of rerouting them kind of that way, and I think I'm gonna try and get it like pinned up to one of these. I think that should work really well. We'll have to move that to the other side. We might flip that guy too. We're just trying to get stuff out of the way because you can see they got this beefed up plate here and it's catching on there. On top of that, we're just doing some routine greasing and maintenance and checking. Checked the oil in this thing and it had a bad O-ring. And everything else, well, the camera, one of the camera cables is broken. Sad state of affair there. And so we have to replace that, and we have a never spill spout for 13-inch augers. Well, we thought we were going to be smart and test this before we put it up, and we were. Nothing was working. Tested everything with the multimeter, pulled damn near every fuse in here just to find out that the center pole doesn't have a wire in it. So that's all sorts of handy. It is kind of crusty, but everything else was making good contact. So we're just going to run a wire over there, down there, straight off the battery. So you can see I rerouted the hydraulics. I'm pretty sure they'll be just fine where they are. I might even put a couple zip ties or something. I don't know. I do need to turn this guy down. Oh, damn. I thought I could get a swivel in there, but it's looking like I can't. So I'll have to get a swivel 90. Kind of looks like I need to shift that whole thing up a little bit too. So we'll probably have to do that. Still need to splice into this guy now. This is my light. I guess it should be on. It's not plugged in, that's why. So I'm going to end up with 2 lights on this now, because the, what's it called? The never spill spout. It comes with a light option, which is awful nice. If you're not familiar with these never spill spouts, they're real slick. Whoa, I'm zoomed way in. What they are is a diaphragm switch. And what will happen is you put it in your bin and it'll get to the point where it fills this eventually after about 30,000 bushels with these bins. And then the grain will start pressing on it. When that presses, it's got an alarm down there. I'll show you later. And in the meantime, it gives you enough time, hopefully, to close your gates on the semi or grain cart, or not cart, but grain truck. And it will actually spill out of these slots for a little bit. So that you never plug if you plug this, then you end up plugging all that, then you end up breaking shear pins. And then it's not fun to get unplugged. Usually you have to reverse it. So the reason we finally went with the never spill spout, after I wanted to put one on my first year, but we finally got big bins. The ones at the airport are 11,000 bushels ish, and they're manageable. And we've always been filling with remotes, so even if you are on top of the bin, you don't have to run down. And we're filling out of grain trucks, so you can be up on top of the bin and it's just a single load, versus, oh, if you're filling out of a semi and you're up top and you finish off the back compartment, you got to move to the front compartment, you got to go up and down. Even though we do have a remote for our semi, we haven't fully decided, and we probably should decide fairly soon, if we're going to rent a semi, like a trailer, or buy one. If we buy one, I'm going to put the Mickles openers on it and whatnot. But if we rent one, they'll highly unlikely it'll come with remote openers. So for the rest of the morning, we still have to, there's some zip ties. Well, let's start at the very end. I want to pull and check the bearing bushing on that end, just because. So we'll check that out. We'll install the light somehow. I might need to build a bracket. And we'll finish the cable, tying those up. Looks like we need to clean off our camera lens. And we get all the way back here. We're gonna need to grease the entire undercarriage. So hubs, pivot points, hinges, you name it. Like I said, I think yeah, you can see this. Well, we loaned this to a neighbor, this auger, and you can see the PTO cover is missing. And he said one of these chains ended up breaking. I think it was that one. And he said it got wrapped and it yanked and it pulled this is a new hose. He said luckily he had the valve turned, but it yanked everything and it broke the hose and whatnot. So looks like it pulled that forwards a bit. And yeah, so we'll move that steel line backwards a little bit, just so I got room to turn some stuff. I should be able to do that right now. I still would like a swivel one, I think. I don't know, we'll see. Yeah, so we got to do that. Finish tying up all of our wires. I'm going to splice in somewhere. There's a pinched wire here, so I'm going to cut that and find a different way to route it. And probably from here, I got to find out a way to run a cable, because I'd like to put a light right here so it points down onto the hopper, just so that you can see a little better. And that'll also be on this little switch. Yeah, so we'll get that cleaned up. We'll get things zip tied up. Gonna yank these guys off because they just tick now because the chain got yanked off. As you can see right there, that's where the chain was. And then when we're done all of that, I think we'll put it up again just to double check, make sure when we swing things out, nothing's catching. Because I did change a lot of things, I'm fairly sure we should be fine, but we'll just double check. A little Well, so far we've gone through a bunch. There should be one more chain like that. That'd be about right there. There. Getting pretty floppy. You can almost turn it over on itself. This one here is an 80 heavy, and I can almost turn it 90 degrees from end to end. Yeah, it's almost 20 feet long, but shouldn't do that. There's another one up here that I'm trying to match. Trying to use the leftover parts too. So yeah, that's a connector. But I think I'm going to use those leftovers to make that chain. Cut this one fresh. And I got 2 boxes of 80 heavy to replace this guy. I think it's actually, one of the chains was only 60 reg. Wherever we can, one of the things we like to do, as long as it's not limited like spatially, thickness wise, is to put heavy chain on. It's just thicker sidebars, but we haven't broken very many chains in the last few years. Even if we run just jobber chain instead of the good Reynolds stuff. These machines, it seems like good practice is just to change these chains before every season. And this westward jobber stuff that we always that we've started using. Well, for 60 heavy, a box of this was like $66 or something like that. A box of Reynolds, which don't get me wrong, I do love Reynolds chain. A box of that, like another 10 feet of it, I got quoted at $240. I think they said it was something like $2.30 a link or an inch. Maybe it was $2.20 an inch. I can't remember. It was a lot. So, and maybe that chain lasts 2-3 years. I don't think it's lasting 4 years. And for peace of mind, I'm good with changing these out every year for the 75% cost difference. So we're gonna make up some chains. So this one is my unloader chain, and it's different than Dad's. Dad's got 60 heavy, and he's got 2 chains because he can shut off his cross augers. I can't. Mine's all linked together, so mine's an 80 heavy. After that, the chains are the same. There's one on the back side of the bubble up auger. So there's one up here, one down there. And those are the main wear points as far as chains go. That one is the bubble up one. And then I'm missing a chain. That looks too long to be that one. Maybe not. Just trying to remember where we left off yesterday. It was about 34, 35 degrees out. We'd been in the heat for several hours and put a list of parts together because we were running out of chain, as you can see. Like, that's all the 80 heavy chain I had right there, is those 2 little cutoffs. And we had some 60 heavies, but we don't have a single 60 heavy that matches that length. But like I said, I think what I'll do is make the 60s into that length, and you can see how much wear is on these guys. Like, I shouldn't be able to twist them like that. She's a whip. So here's a job I've been putting off for a while. This week, not like years and years, but is changing or flipping the chopper knives. All I got to do is take each bear and go, because you can see the old side pretty rounded off. But it's been so bloody warm all week, and it's still gonna, well, it's probably 30 degrees right now. I'm gonna get up to 35. I'm just gonna go until I can't take it anymore. And yeah, so there's 2 rows that we have to do. Yeah, it's just not going to be fun. We're kind of run out of things to do on this combine almost, so may as well do this. It's a Princess Auto wrench, so for my American followers out there, it's kind of like Harbor Freight, Tractor Supply. It's not a Snap-on or a Mac or Jets or any quality. It's cheap.